We need to talk about Sundial and if it will ever go back up to the levels it saw a few weeks ago. But in order to answer that, we need to talk about some things first. With the recent pullback that Sundial Growers has been seeing, questions that you may find yourself asking could be some of the following. Should you average down your position? Is now finally the time to get into Sundial Growers? Are you in the position and do you cut your losses? All totally valid questions, and hopefully throughout this video I will attempt to shed some light on answering some of those questions. After Sundial hit its high of $3.96 on February 10th, it has since lost nearly 2/3 of its value. The run-up and then decline of this stock has basically mirrored the broader cannabis sector. So this isn't just a Sundial thing. Big name stocks such as Tilray and Canopy Growth also hit highs on February 10th and have been declining ever since. The Global X Cannabis ETF, ticker symbol POTX, which includes all three of the names that I've already mentioned as well as 23 other cannabis names, is down 41% in that same time frame. So is the current slump in Sundial Growers a buying opportunity, or do I think that the weakness will persist? Out of all the crazy things that have happened in the stock market so far in 2021, Sundial Growers is definitely up there, considering it ended 2020 at 47 cents or thereabout and surged up to basically $4. And we're only 5 days into March. And the reason that this stock is probably declining is because that the frenzied action that shot the stock up to its all-time highs had pretty much nothing to do with the company operations. Now, granted, don't get me wrong, GameStop and AMC definitely didn't skyrocket to the moon because of their company operations. They skyrocketed to the moon because of a high short interest. Now, before you start typing in the comments that there's a short squeeze coming for Sundial Growers or blah, 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 I looked, I checked. The short interest on Sundial Growers is less than 10%, pretty much on any platform that you look. So it doesn't look like Sundial Growers is a short squeeze. Around a year ago, Sundial was in huge trouble. The company was pretty much just one of many Canadian marijuana producers trying to stand out in an extremely crowded marketplace. Loaded up with debt and showing dismal financials, Sundial's management team had to step aside. And the new leadership for Sundial management had to take some very painful steps, which included inflating Sundial's share count from 107 million to 1.5 billion in order to raise capital. Now, say what you will about the company, but the new management team did what they had to do and save the company from going bankrupt. However, that doesn't mean that what they did was in the best interest of you, the shareholder. And it is great news that Sundial did avoid bankruptcy, but the company's current $2 billion evaluation is the next hurdle that they are going to have to deal with. You see, the company's financials are, how you say, bad. Some would say dreadful. Others would say horrifying. Over the last 12 months, Sundial has lost a total of $228 million, while only generating a revenue of $55 million. And that revenue of $55 million missed estimates, so this company isn't even growing its revenue. I think it's pretty clear to say that the previous management team of Sundial was taking the company in a wrong strategic direction. And the new management team is doing its best to try and fix that mess and turn the boat around. However, this boat might be more of like a cruise liner, and those take a little bit of time to completely do a 180. It's unclear as to if and when the excitement from the meme and Reddit stock trades will fade, if ever. And if you watched GameStop last week, it did have a little surge. So the possibility that other meme stocks, such as Sundial Growers, could get one more push as well. In the long run, I think we kind of know how this is going to play out. Sundial is vastly overvalued compared to its assets, which is primarily its cash balance and an unproven operating business that just hemorrhages money. As far as the long term is concerned, this is probably not the cannabis stock you want to be in, because you currently have 4 profitable American cannabis producers that are growing quickly and are generating free positive cash flow. And yes, a low stock price and volatility that Sundial has makes it a decent day trading stock, but in my opinion, it does not really resemble an adequate long-term investment. So the question that still remains is, will Sundial Growers ever go back up? Sundial Growers earnings are in a few weeks on March 17th, and I believe that those earnings will offer a lot of insight on what the stock is going to do in the short term as well as in the long term. But until those earnings come out, there are 2 time frames that I want to look at: the short term and then the long term. And by short term, I mean anything from pretty much now to around 3 to 6 months. And even that's sort of long term. There's pretty much only 2 ways that I personally see this stock going up in the short term. And one would be that it gets another Reddit/retail surge, or if the US legalizes cannabis on a federal level and the whole cannabis market jumps. In both of these scenarios, I do believe that the stock will go up, but I don't believe that the stock will stay there, because we've already seen what a Reddit surge does to the stock is it shoots it to the moon and it pretty much comes down in the next couple days. And then as far as the US legalizing cannabis, I do believe it will shoot up. It might stay there for a little bit longer, but again, the company doesn't have the financials, it doesn't have the fundamentals to have a stock price that high. And as far as the long term is concerned, which is basically anything over 6 months to a couple years, I've already mentioned that the company has a ton of work to do in trying to get this company turned around and starting to make a profit. And I believe that earnings in a few weeks will tell us a lot. However, if you are in this stock for the long haul, I personally believe that it will have a much slower rise than what we recently saw. And I'm sure that there are a decent amount of you watching this video right now that really don't like the fact that I just said all of that. But here's the thing. What I just said, aside from like the numbers and financials part, everything else was basically just my opinion. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know the future. All I can do is see the facts and then give you my opinion on the facts. That's basically what I'm doing. But I'm also not going to sit here and try to sell you hopes and dreams. Being in the stock market requires you to make difficult decisions. And the most difficult decision you will ever have to make in the stock market is if you should cut your losses. And unfortunately, nobody can tell you if you should cut your losses. Because here's the thing. Everyone values money differently. $20 to me is going to be different than $20 to you. $10,000 to me is going to be different than $10,000 to you. We are in different financial situations. $10,000 might be a ginormous amount to you, or it might be like this much. I don't know, as well as the next viewer. So unfortunately, I can't give you, and nobody else can give you advice on what to do because they don't know your financial situation. Trust me, I've had to sell for losses plenty of times. Plenty of small losses, a couple of medium losses, and one actually ginormous loss of 5 figures. So no, I'm clearly not perfect. I've made mistakes, but I've also learned from those mistakes. I've actually been thinking about making a video solely on that loss of 5 figures because I think that would be interesting and maybe tell you guys what I learned about it and, all that fun stuff. So if that video interests you, let me know down in the comments below. You guys want to take joy in my pain. And just because I'm saying all this does not mean I'm going to stop covering the stock in the future. Don't worry. Sundial will still be heavily in my rotation. And for all of you that are interested in the stock, and I know that there's a bunch of you, I will be doing a technical analysis video of Sundial Growers sometime this weekend so that you guys can have that for the upcoming week. And I'll give you guys some price points, some support and resistance of where I believe that the stock is going to go and trade. So if you want to see that video, make sure to subscribe and turn on your notification bell so that you can get notified as soon as I post that video. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, I will see you guys next video.